Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to part 10 of my Xenon progression series. I am so excited to go across this part because there are so many new things in the current event and I have a lot of updates for you guys as well before we go too deep into the video. The first thing that I wanted to talk about is just to kind of recap the stuff that I've done in the previous event. We did a lot of star forcing on the 30% off and we've made a lot of progress so far. We managed to get our superior Golix pendant to put us onto the third set. We star forced a lot of items including a slime ring, our superior belt to 21, our CRA top to 21, and our Absolab shoes to 21. So overall we made a huge amount of gains in terms of our star force. I am currently sitting on almost 25 million combat power and it only goes up from here. And in this current part we're going to make some more upgrades but not necessarily on our gear. But before we go into that, I wanted to show you guys what I managed to do with these gains that I made. At 25 mil combat power, I was pretty sure that I could probably clear hard Damian. That was one of the few bosses in the previous week where I didn't attempt in a party before the 30% off. So after the 30% off, I looked at my damage and figured maybe it is possible, and I gave a go at hard Damian on stream. It was a pretty long run. It took almost the entirety of the timer, but it was pretty validating to see that the gear was strong enough for me to get to hard Damian solo. That hard Damian solo did test my knowledge of the class and kinda my understanding on how to do the burst. It was a lot messier than I hoped. The burst was a bit more difficult, charging the Omega Blaster and doing my origin burst. It was a whole new experience for me, especially because I was solo, but at the end of it we managed to get the clear with a few minutes to spare. We didn't get anything out of it, but that's fine. Just knowing that we can clear hard Damian gives me a lot of confidence in doing some other bosses. And speaking of other bosses, there were two bosses that I didn't do yet. It was hard V-Healer and hard Darknail. Both of these, I didn't have a trade for this week, so I was just kind of hoping that I'd manage to find a party in the party finder throughout the week. And by sheer luck, there was a group that ended up running hard V-Healer and hard Darknail. I managed to join these parties, and because it is a random public party, I didn't really have any say in them slowing down in case I wasn't in Blue Dot. If I didn't do the 5% required, I don't get any drops, and honestly it was kind of exciting. I didn't really know how much damage I could do, and in V-Healer it was really close. We win these, we win these, we win these. Oh, I'm dying. Yo. It's winnable. Oh no, if I had G-skills I'd be blue actually. I should probably drop for the homies, hey. Oh, somebody died out. I caught the strings for the homies. Check this out. Oh, speed run. Oh, I'm 4 again. I don't know if I can get blue. Wait, I have burst in 5 seconds. There's a chance. There's always a chance. We can get blue for sure. Surely. Oh, my Upats ran out. I'm so sad. Yo, we're blue. We're cooking. We're cooking. Guys, it's doable. Doable. Surely if they burst, I'm going back to red though. If they burst, we're going back to red. I'm going for it too, I have to. I'm just gonna tap my origin. I'm tapping everything, who cares? Who cares about efficiency? Yo, Dream's alive? Dream's alive? No, Bishop, come back. Oh! What do we? Oh, we are blue! Yes! Stay blue! Yo, we're cooking, didn't get anything, but that's fine. By the end of the fight, I managed to barely blue dot, and I was just honestly happy to be part of the clear. Not being able to blink for the pitch boss was irrelevant to me because I was kind of being a leech in the run, to be quite honest. But just giving myself that chance to get more arcane drops was more than enough for me. And I went into hard Darknail with the same approach. It happened to be the same couple of people in the party that did V-Healer, so it was another group of 6 random people, and we just ran into Darknail. The only difference though from Darknail and V-Healer is I actually had guild skills for Darknail. I was able to comfortably hit green dot in hard Darknail. That was a huge surprise to me and everybody who was watching on stream. A few of the viewers did think that I was going to be able to hit green. Maybe it was because of my gains, the guild skills, and just kind of being more aware of my class. But for the most part, I was still kind of convinced I would be able to at least blue dot, but it ended up being by the end of the run, I managed to green dot. I was allowed to blink for the pitch boss as well, but unfortunately, nothing came out of the box. I was just really hoping for some arcane pieces. But hey, we got the clear and it gives me a lot of confidence because now I know that I can comfortably trade these bosses with other people without having to have them wait for me. So starting this week, I will be able to trade both V-Healer and Darknail amongst all the other bosses with my friend. Very exciting, and it has a lot of opportunity for me to get an Arcane box. And speaking of Arcanes, there is one that I'm looking forward to the most, and that is the Arcane glove. In the last couple of parts I've been talking about this, but we've been getting a lot of droplets from Hard Lucid. You can see here I'm currently sitting at 9 droplets, and if I manage to get another 3 from this week's clear, I will be able to buy my first piece of Arcane. And it will be the gloves, because the gloves are best in slot, and at Legendary they will be able to get a line called crit damage, which is really strong. On top of that, I'm really excited for the Arcane glove, because then I can finally claim my Hyperburning reward. This weapon is really strong. It is a bit better than the fake Absolab weapon that I am currently using. It is not as good as a proper Arcane weapon, of course, but being able to have a 2-set bonus between this weapon and the eventual Arcane glove will be a really strong gain. Lots to look forward here in terms of our weeklies. Of course, I am also hoping for more drops, including Twilight Marks and Slime Rings. And of course, we are still looking for special rings from the ring boxes. Hopefully we'll get something useful, such as a Ring of Restraint, and maybe a Totaling 4 might be usable as well. I'm not so sure, but that's what we're hoping for. So that's a bit of a recap of what we've done so far. We've managed to solo hard Damian and get a clear on basically the entirety of C10 very comfortably. And now I can talk about the newest thing about this patch. We just got part 2 of the Go West patch. And what I'm so excited about is the fact that all of Cernium and Burning Cernium now have the chance of dropping familiar cards. And as of right now that I'm recording, I have already streamed a little bit and I trained a fair amount. You can see here I'm currently sitting at 60% at 261. I have been farming a lot of the seagulls. These are the mobs that I've been farming on in Cernium. There's not a particular reason why I am farming here. I guess I just really like the rotation of the map. It's nice and small. The rates aren't that great, but it was very easy for me to train on, and yeah, I was just pretty happy to just be here. And just being able to farm EXP while getting fragments, while getting fam cards is a huge buff to the game. Because I'm not really training on my battle mage anymore, training on my Xenon is going to be a big part of the amount of money that I'll be making each week outside of my weeklies. Again, the reason why I'm farming these seagulls is no reason other than I kind of just like the way that these mobs look. Realistically, the best way to make gains would be picking a map that has a high mob count that is really easy to clear. I'm sure there are so many more better maps than the one I'm picking right now. I think I'm probably getting close to 14,000 mobs an hour, which is definitely on the lower end compared to some of the other maps. For example, this map here, Rocky Overlook 3, will give about 17,000 mobs an hour, and I'm sure in Burning Cernium there are a lot of maps that give really good rates. But for me, I just want to get the seagulls. I just think that they look kind of funny, and it's a map that I think will be not very contested, so I can just kind of chill there, not fuss too much about changing channels. I can get MVPs, I can go get my coupons from the shop if I need them, all that good stuff, and yeah, it's just low effort, easy training. The way that I'm going to be approaching my familiars right now is that I'm going to be trying to get them to unique as soon as possible. I have a few here that are trying to get to epic, and I do already almost have a level 5 epic familiar. Now, somehow on stream, I managed to hit this familiar. 1 epic. Yes, I get a seagull for my large drop. Let's go. Seagull. It's the map. Time to get some seagulls. Let's go, large drop seagull. We don't care about you anymore. We're all about seagull, large drop. Let's go. Somehow on my second epic familiar, I managed to get another large item drop fam. This is kind of ridiculous and honestly a little bit disappointing. Getting one is already a huge buff, like the one that I got from LH4. But getting a second one, unfortunately, they do not stack. This is kind of suffering from success first world problem on my account right now. I kind of feel vindicated that I chose the seagulls and I've replaced my old large drop fam with this seagull because, again, I just kind of think they look kind of funny. I'll be sticking here for a long time. I'm going to try to spam unique familiars while training. It will be a pretty long process and I don't think that I'll be hitting anything useful anytime soon. Unique fams are very tedious to go for because you need to have 150 fam cards worth, which will probably take me about 45 to an hour, and there is like about a 60% chance that it doesn't tear up. So this will eat fam cards quite quickly, but if we manage to get unique, I would like to see something like ID or boss damage on these fams ideally. In conjunction with these fams, being able to farm cards, we want it to be as lazy as possible, and the map that I showed you is quite small, and the reason why it's so good is because Xenon actually has access to now 3 consistent summons. I have the Erd of Fountain like usual that we have from 5th job. Xenon has its own summon here, this Hypergram Field, and thanks to the new update, we also have this Soul Janus summon. It is basically like another Erd of Fountain. It kind of covers a new spot in the map that we usually wouldn't be able to attack, and it makes training a lot easier. And I think a lot of players who reach 6th job and training has become a lot lazier, which is always welcome. I'm probably just going to leave mine at level 1 just because I would prefer to improve my damage as opposed to my mobbing. Speaking of damage, we have access to a new mastery, this new Hexa mastery. I think every class gets a new one, and this one for Xenon is actually quite strong. I don't know how much it adds, but based off of what I've seen in the Xenon Discord, this new mastery of ours gives a lot of damage. And to be able to get it, I do need another 8 or so fragments, so hopefully I'll be able to farm this soon. And this is just going to be another buff for the character that will allow me to more consistently green or blue dot in my bosses. Before we move on to the next thing, which is basically going to be us training, I wanted to quickly talk about my Absolab gear. This is a question that I had from a lot of players asking why I am trying to push my Absolab when my Battle Mage I pushed my Arcanes. And the difference between my Battle Mage and my Xenon is that my Xenon has a huge issue with spares at the moment. I don't have that many items that I can properly Star Force. I do have a bunch of Dom pendants, but these I don't really want to push off of a 5, 10, 15 event. We want to be able to safeguard these Dom pendants, and in a similar fashion, I would like to safeguard things like my Twilight Mark, my Carnage Treasure, and obviously Arcanes when I get there. I don't actually have many copies of these things. I have a bunch of random Dom pendants, I have a few Carnage Treasures, but I only have 1 Twilight Mark, I only have 1 Slime Ring, and obviously I don't have any Arcanes. So on the 30% off, I didn't really have many things to work on because my CRA pieces were already 21. By sheer miracle, I managed to get a second belt drop, but had I not gotten that, I didn't have any items to work on. Like genuinely, I didn't have any items that I was comfortable pushing on a 30% off without safeguard. And because of that, I opted to work towards 21 star Absolab, which are roughly 19 star, 18 star Arcanes. They're reasonably strong and very, very easy to set up. I only need to get level 150 items. You can get these from Ranmaru, I can buy them from various shops, and then just try to transfer them onto Absolab gear. It just seemed to me like the best way to move forward, even though they're not technically best in slot. For what I want to do with this character, 21 Absolabs are perfectly fine for my progression. Hopefully that answers some of your questions if you guys had any worries about why I'm pushing Absolab. Typically for a main, I would opt to do Arcanes, but because this is a second character, I'm not too fussed about min-maxing my gear. Alright, please. Second try. Ooh, oh, yes. We're gonna try. We're hoping for percent attack, boss damage, or IED, but it's probably going to be like jump, speed, red outline. Large healing is what we want. Boss damage, IED, and percent attack. Those are like the 4 main lines. Oh, no way! No way! Seagulls! Seagull Gaming! It's the Seagulls, guys. It's gotta be the Seagulls. My literal first unique fam. I'm unsubbing, that's crazy. No, don't, you can't leave. That's right, guys. Somehow, I managed to get a boss damage familiar on my literal first unique fam on this Xenon. It's pretty unbelievable, and the fact that it's also 30% boss damage is pretty insane because you can range anywhere between 0 and 40. I'll take a 30% any day of the week, and I feel so happy that it's on my Seagull, the random familiar that I just decided to go with, so it's hella funny for me. Pretty insane gain for the character, and since then, I actually used the familiar and my gains to go into more bosses this week. We just had the reset, and I traded some bosses with my friend. We went through the entirety of C10, and here are the drops that we managed to get. I managed to get a Daybreak Pendant from V-Hiller, a Twilight Mark, I believe, from Hard Will, and a Guardian Angel Ring from Slime. On top of that as well, I have finished up a bunch more Commercy, as you guys can see here, and I have this lovely monocle in my inventory. I need to now start trying to transpose this by doing more Commercy runs, more CPQ and whatnot, and hopefully we'll get this transposed at some point. But the biggest gain that I've been waiting for this entire time, I managed to get an Arcane weapon drop. Not only did I manage to get an Arcane weapon drop, I managed to get 2 of them. I have another box in my inventory. Having 2 Arcane Umbra weapons is insane, because now I can actually safely push this weapon to 18 star and leave it at 18 pretty much forever. I couldn't do this with my Battle Mage because I only ever got 1 weapon, and by the time that I was pushing the weapon, I was already trying to attempt a Black Mage. But now I got my weapon super early, managed to get 2 boxes in 1 week. It's insane. With all of these drops, I think it is time for us to make some upgrades, and I really want to start with this weapon. I wanted to have at least a tier 6 attack flame with some boss damage. That would be ideal, and then I will Star Force this up, and it should be better than our Absol weapon. Even right now, the only reason why the Absol weapon is better is because of the potential, but if you just look at the raw attack power, it is so much better already. So I'm going to spend some money, and I'm going to try to flame this a little bit, and then I'll Star Force it up to 15. Holy crap, guys, that's actually insane as well. I have only used 3 Rainbow Flames, and I managed to hit the tier 6 attack with tier 5 boss damage and also 6% all stat. This is probably as good as it's gonna be for a weapon. Holy, that is done. My Arcane weapon is done for its flame. Now all I need to do is give it a potential and then Star Force it up. It should be able to easily beat out my current weapon. But before we do too much on the weapon, there is one more thing that we needed to do. Another thing that I was really excited about was the fact that I got a hard lucid clear this week, and as you guys can see here in my etc menu, I have 12 butterfly droplet stones. This means that I can also buy my first armor piece. I have transferred over all the droplets I've received over the last couple of events. I have quite a lot of them here, thankfully, and this should be enough for me to buy my first arcane armor. The whole reason why we were hoping to get lucky with the armor was so then we could use the 2-set bonus from the arcane pieces. You can see here that the 2-set bonus gives us 10% boss damage, but we will have to sacrifice 2-set bonuses from the Abso pieces. We will lose out on 10% IED and 10% boss damage, but the damage that we gain from this weapon by itself is going to be more than enough to offset those losses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change over my droplets to be able to buy the gloves, and we'll be able to be on 2-set Arcanes, 3-set Absolab. And here we go, guys, our first Arcane armor piece. Now all we have to do is also flame this up. Thankfully we have a lot spare from our weapon, and hopefully we get something good here as well. And there we go. I think we hit a pretty strong Xenon flame from my understanding. 30 strength, 80 dex, 66 luck, and 5% all stat. Very solid flame, and I think our glove is pretty much done here. All we need to do now as well, like the weapon, is just to Star Force them both up and then get them a usable potential, and it should beat out our current equipment quite easily. There we go, both our items are now at 15 star. I am kind of contemplating whether or not to tap them to 16, because 5, 10, 15, even though it's a very strong event, is going to be a 2-week wait, and getting that 16 star might actually be worthwhile, although it is a little bit expensive. 140 mil per tap is quite a lot, but I also realized that going from 14 to 15 was more than this, so I kind of think that it's not too bad just going for 16, hopefully, but I'll consider that later. It is quite expensive, and I think I would rather push the potentials a little bit. But as you guys can see here, just both of these weapons clean are a lot better than their counterparts. The only thing that my gloves are really missing is the potential, and it should beat out my current Absolab gloves very easily. So I'm actually going to spend some money cubing these up to legendary and then seeing how we go from there. And there we go, we managed to get both of our items to legendary for, I would say, pretty cheap. I also realized while I was cubing my gloves that the DMT was literally in a week, so thankfully I didn't end up spending too much money getting this to legendary. But now we're just going to be rolling for these guys to have some good potentials. I'm hoping for the weapon to have at least 2 lines of attack, and then for the gloves we are looking for crit damage, and if we're lucky maybe some all stat or something along those lines. But yeah, crit damage for the gloves, and hopefully 2 lines of attack for the weapon. There we go, we managed to hit 2 lines of attack like we've hoped, and now we can start working onto the gloves. I'm not really sure how I want to approach the gloves. I think generally speaking you would rather use bright cubes because crit damage, you would like to see 2 lines of it on the gloves, but I don't think that I have the money to even attempt for it. So I might use the remainder of these glowing cubes to see if we can just get crit damage, 1 line, and then I might use the rest of these and see what happens. And there we go, we hit crit damage with a little bit of strength. Now I'll just use these bright cubes and see what they can do. I don't think I have other things I really want to use these cubes on, so I'm quite happy just to put them on the gloves for the time being. We didn't see anything else too fancy, but we managed to actually get an extra 13%, and I believe this adds up to around 7% all stat for me, so I'm pretty happy with that. That's like having crit damage and then 1 line of all stat. Let's have a look and see how many gains we would make with these 2 equipped. In my damage gear, I'm currently sitting at 25.6 mil combat power, and with these 2 equipped, it should be a pretty significant boost. And there we go, we went from 26 to almost 32. We gained about 6 million combat power, a huge amount of damage for this character, and it only gets better from here. Now I'll be able to very easily solo both Hard Lotus and Hard Damian. Last week when I soloed Hard Damian, it was quite a long run. It took me almost 30 minutes, and now it should be a piece of cake. And for Lotus as well, I haven't ever tried to solo it on my Xenon, but I will definitely give it a try now with the extra amount of damage I just gained. I think now for our next steps for this character, it will just have to be star forcing up these arcane pieces to 17. I still have quite a few extra items that need to go for 17 as well, including our pendants. So you can see here, our slime ring, and I believe a few of our absos. It looks like my cape is still currently at 17, but we'll see what happens with the cape specifically because I do plan on foddering it. But yeah, we do have a lot of items that can go up a few stars, so we're definitely waiting for some gains there. And another thing that we are kind of waiting on as well is our pap mark. Now that I have my Sweetwater monocle that I touched on briefly earlier, I am going to be trying to transpose it. So actually I need to star force this up to 16 now to be able to do that. So I'll probably do that off camera because transposing will take a while, and I'm just going to hope for the best that it hits. Overall, super happy with the gains that we've made. Waiting on some star forcing events like I said, and also kind of waiting on our Golux coins to build up. I'm still quite a ways away. I'm at 150 coins and I need another 550. That'll probably take about another 2 weeks before I get my 4th and final superior piece to get that 4 set. But overall, huge gains on this account. Now I'm just going to be fully focusing on training. I'm currently level 261 and I do want to push for 275 eventually. But now thanks to the Grandest Fams coming out, I will be able to consistently try to go for good familiars. If we are lucky enough with our seagulls, we might be able to get more bossing fams, but like I mentioned, I think any variety of IED, healing fams, attack fams, anything usable, I'll be more than happy to go with, hoping for the best, and we'll just see how the character develops. For now though, I think that'll be it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the series so far, and if you guys have, please consider giving the videos a like. It helps me out a lot. And if you would like to keep updated with my progression, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you guys again, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one.